Well, one of the most important things that happened to me when I spent my 3 years in the United States was to meet my future wife. And she was actually working in, as a student. She was doing some student work while she was going through college. And this was clerical work for Dr. Victor McCusick, who was my boss at Johns Hopkins. And every time I went into my office to look down my microscope at chromosomes, I would have to pass her desk. And after saying good morning a number of times, I eventually had the temerity to invite her out. And so we got to know each other very well, and eventually we married, and our first child was born at Johns Hopkins. And my first child, I'm very proud to say, is a professor of genetics in Cambridge, so there must be something good about that experience. Anyway, Marie was my wife, was detailed off to help in the buccal smear surveys that I did when I just arrived in Baltimore. I mentioned previously that I'd been doing this in Scotland. And so as we did the same thing in the mental institution in Maryland, near Baltimore. And it wasn't the least bit like a National Health Service institution. It was really a very depressing place. But that's another story. But what we had to do was to go through the wards of in this particular asylum, and with permission, of course, to collect smears of inside the cheek in these handicapped children. And it was quite a sort of kind of mass production thing, because we had to do several hundred people, and Marie was there to mark the slides and write down the numbers, and to make sure that we didn't get patients muddled up. We got the right sample from the right person. And during that exercise, we discovered several new different types of chromosome abnormality. And individuals with Klinefelter syndrome that had three X chromosomes as well as a Y chromosome, and we found female individuals that had 3 X chromosomes instead of 2. And this was all apparent from the buccal smears. But anyway, Marie was involved in doing that. And when we went with our baby back to Scotland in 1961, Marie joined me in my lab. I had a grant from the United States to continue some research, and so Marie was employed on that grant. She was an American citizen, and I was funded by the University of Glasgow because I had a lectureship. So we were not funded by the same people. So we were quite different. We had quite different bosses. Anyway, so she joined in the work of chromosome analysis with me, which she had already done, and she'd already been involved in this in Baltimore, of course. And so we've been working together ever since. And that was 1960 to 2015. So, well, no, she stopped work actually in 1993. But up till 1993, she was working in cytogenetics alongside me. And we've been working all that time together, and it's worked out quite well. We didn't divorce, and we had many arguments, of course, but we brought up 4 children, and we had a very happy career together.